All right. What are we doing today, folks? I believe we're gonna do a little bit of wiring. Much as exciting as that is, it should be pretty straightforward. We're gonna at least wire the engine because we got a lot of this happening. I haven't grabbed another grill shell yet, but I'll probably do that a little later. But anyways, we're gonna just do our base stuff here. I don't know, I have this heater, so I was kind of looking at this. It almost looks like this is gonna clear the hood without anything funny. This one might be a little interesting yet, but anyways, that probably got to go there. I'll loop it around whenever I figure out how to do my heater thing, but yeah. So, what are we gonna do? We have this nice little setup from Painless, which is nice and long, maybe almost too long, but this should get us into the cab to where we're gonna have to still program our computer and all that jazz, but yeah, I guess for the most part, I'm gonna string this out, get it roughly where it is. I think I have some spare that Lumi stuff. I know they have this stuff as well, so I should have enough of this to, yeah, I have more than enough of this to do what we need to cover this up, but it's going to get us one step closer to actually getting this motor to fire up, even if it is just a temporary dealio. I have to get some more aluminum because I might end up being just building my own seats. I don't really know at this point. I guess this is actually, oh no, we gotta like work on that clutch. I gotta do that too. I did find the master that I bought, but I don't have the proper setup to do a reservoir. I guess this one was for like one of those drifting handles, but it is a 3/4 inch bore. It's got more than enough stroke. I found the dealio for the clutch that I have in there. So, you know, this thing explains what it needs. Like you can use, if you go with a 3/4 inch bore, you need like 1 inch of stroke, and it gives you 0.3 bearing travel. If you have 1 3/8 stroke, it'll give you a 0.6 throw. So I'm not sure what this is. This is, well, definitely over 1 inch anyways. So anyways, maybe I'll do that first and then we'll go into the wiring. This thing should bolt right into the same place. The only difference with this one is it needs a bubble flare on this side, so I'll have to re-flare that, and I gotta see if I have a proper flare for that. That might throw a complete wrench into what I'm doing if I don't have. I just have regular flares, and I guess a bubble flare has like a little more zoop on the end of this. I don't know. It's not looking like I have, and I don't have anything like this. Would technically, no, that's not even. It is not looking good. Nope. Oh, hold on. I do have this. Oh, you know what? We can probably put this in here, and then I can reuse that same flare that I have. See how the end of it is like bubbled around like that? So, I guess I could do this if it fits. That might be metric in there. That might be hooped. We might be hooped, so it doesn't feel like it wants to thread into there. All right, we're gonna need a flare. So scratch that idea. We're not working with that right now. So back to the wiring. Anyways, I'm gonna get this all set up. We'll get that slung onto the motor, and well, yeah, I'm gonna loosely sling it onto the motor. Actually, I'm probably gonna figure out where I want to put this into the cab. All right, on this cab front, what we got to do is figure out where we have all this empty space under here. So I just feel like we're gonna end up having to stare at this computer. Like there's not much in the ways of really hiding everything, but I also got to figure out where I want to put my heater, which I don't have right now. So that's a little bit of a hamper. Where is my computer? Oh, right here. You can imagine this thing's pretty big, so wherever I kind of mount that one, we're gonna have a mount. It's just gonna end up sitting. Well, that's not too bad. I might be able to kind of hide that out of the way. I'm gonna go look in the shed, just see if I can find a little heater first, so I have a rough idea where that's gonna go. I do want to be able to do my heater and be able to plumb it up, and then try to hide my vents. I'm gonna have to build something for that. I also have to drill this, so when my glass gets done, which probably next week, I'll be able to get all that stuff in. I think we'll end up splashing a little paint on a few things here, and figure out what we're all doing. Started with my dash, so I kind of got these gauges all kind of in here, so this is how we're gonna run it. I think normally a Model A had a key over on the one side, so that kind of worked, but we'll have to do some revamping and basically just carve out a big hole in the dash. A, so I can get behind and deal with some wiring, and B, just to deal with this. But I'll have to find a sweet little spot for my key and a few things like that coming up, but I don't know what I want to do with that, other than I'll make a little panel or do something. I thought of making a panel underneath for my boost gauge and my air fuel gauge, but I think I have room up that I can kind of do it higher up into the, I don't know what you want to call it. Hold on, just gonna get this out with one hand. Again, I don't know how much boost this motor is gonna make, so this will be a complete surprise. Ugh. All right, so we have like a boost, and we'll get an air fuel gauge, just so we can monitor our engine vitals. But I was thinking I could almost like sync them up there, so it'd just be a little better to have a view of what's going on. They're more, I don't know if the boost matters, but the air fuel is a pretty critical gauge to see. Can't sink it in too much, but we might make a little pod thing up there where we can hide a bunch of our gauges. All right, anyways, enough rambling there. I'm gonna start with just punching a random hole in the firewall, because we'll need to run the wiring harness through there regardless, and then we can kind of sling it up behind somewhere. There's going to be a lot of wire because this thing's pretty dang long. It is pretty dang long. Because if this thing goes to the back of the motor, we're going to have like all of that kind of slinging up somewhere, but not much you can do. It is what it is, so yeah. All right. Man, eh? How do we do it? Oh, I guess it did come with a grommet, I know that. And I'm going to guess half of this stuff is all going to fit. Whatever I make this hole, I think everything on here should fit through it. Just. This thing is super long, so I'm pretty sure I am okay sticking this through wherever I want to get these lined up here. Some of this, like the transmission module stuff, I don't need any of this stuff, but whatever. It's here. We're going to use it. Well, we're not going to use that, but reverse and speed. This must be all transmission stuff. I feel like I should pull it out, but meh, whatever. Okay. Well, I have that. I have a heater. I'll show you that in the car here. So I went to the shed. I managed to find this bad boy, which is pretty cool. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put it. My gas pedal is over there, but I think if I stick it under there, it'd be pretty cool if I can do that. I might have to set it away because if you look at these hoses there, they poke up. And I'm going to see if I can do a 90 on them, but I'm going to set it up that it's going to go like, it'd be nice in the middle, but it'll be way too close to my gas pedal. So if I set this off to the side, I can kind of tuck my computer up over there, and then goodness, I don't know. I got two fuse boxes to run in here. One I can probably make a panel and put it over there, and then for my motor stuff, I don't know, somewhere. But anyways, I feel good with this there. I think by the regulator, if we kind of make a wiring grommet over there, I think we'll be okay. That way I can run everything in here and, I don't know, figure out some other way to shoehorn everything into this thing again. So anyways, this thing's pretty good. Again, we're going to go with that, or we'll build a mount. Man, it's just so ugly. I mean, the closer I go to the center, the better, but then it's going to be close to the heater box. So, but the heater box, like I say, will be standing off, so that part won't be too bad. I think the first thing I should do, just so I have room to get in here and do stuff, is we're going to take the plasma and we're going to cut this thing out for what I need, because I need, as much as this has a screw to hold it, we got to get rid of all of this. So I'm going to start by trimming around here really quick. And I know I'll have to make some ears to bolt this, but I want to be able to get in there. That's kind of the plan here. Alexa, air compressor on. I'm not sure how to smooth line that one. How does that one go? Right to the top. All right. Let's see. Well, here's the hope, and this gets all covered. Oh, just. That was close. So I have to make a couple fingers now to hold that there, but I'm not too concerned. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. The big thing I wanted is to be able to get behind here and do stuff. So, yeah. All right. Super noisy out here. I got found a perfect place for my wiring in. If I'll do it, you can't see, but there's a shelf inside. I'm going to drill through that. That way I can do my grommet, everything from there. Provided it's big enough. Let me see. Let's see. Can we do this nice and clean like? Oh yeah, I think we can just do it. I think we can just do it. This will be nice. What I got is a hydraulic punch. You'll kind of see that in a second here. Ah. Boo. All right. Well, okay, that's not going to work. I can't get in to drill it. I need an 1 3/8 hole. I don't. I'd like a really nice round hole. I have a little hydraulic punch for this. Or a hydraulic knockout? Is that the right term? Let's see how that goes. I think, whoops. No, I have to undo that. All right, a little stuck, but I think we're good. Now, survey says, does all of this fit out said hole? I'm kind of thinking that's how this is supposed to work. Oh, you know what? These plugs are all smaller. I think I gotta do the transmission thing first, even though I'm not using that whatsoever. And everything else is stuck under my motor here. All right. Okay. Survey says Man, I am not using any of this transmission stuff though. You know what? I'm going to clean this out of this because I don't need, do I care? I really don't care. All right, we're going to run this through there. This just fits through the opening. Perfect. We'll just snug it up somewhere. Not the end of the world. Or do I keep it under the hood here maybe? Nah. Where does this go? I think I'm going to remove it. We're running a manual. There's no chance I'm ever going to put an automatic in here. So, yes. I'm just going to pull these wires out because I don't need them in this. I don't need them in here. There's no point leaving it. I'll do that really quick here. I mean, we're trying to make everything pretty darn clean, so I may as well clean this all up. There's a VSS and a reverse lockout. I'll leave those. There's a chance one day, you know, I'll want to do baby cruise or do something. So, but everything else on here, I'm totally not going to use. So I'm just going to pull this. This should go pretty much all just back to the computer, and we'll just re-zip tie this. A, it'll make the harness a little bit smaller. B, I don't know. There's just some cleanliness to it, I guess. This may look complicated, but it's not really. You're going to follow all of these. These are going to go to these. We're going to pop the caps off of here, and then we're just going to pull the pins out, and done deal. No big deal. Pretty simple. I think hindsight, you betcha you could talk to these guys and tell them you're doing something, and they might actually make a custom harness. Maybe they have one, I don't know. If you have a manual transmission. But yeah, we'll just cut this all apart. No hurt, no foul. Be a little messy for a second or two, but we'll get it. All right, let's just time lapse this and give her, and then we'll be back on schedule here. Well, I pulled this out. I have everything just kind of really loosey-goosey stuck out there. This is just the transmission stuff. So as you can see, it's pretty, you just follow it back and then you basically unpin stuff out of there. Now, whatever. Maybe they make a kit for a manual transmission, I don't know. And it would be the similar one if you had a turbo 350 or a 400 or something, or 700R. They might not have this. I don't actually know. I didn't specifically ask for that, so kind of got what I got there. Anyways, I feel, seeing how I am pulling like that grommet, because I took all this out, maybe a bunch of this wiring I can actually run out of there too for like the headlights, motor stuff, headlight signals, all that stuff. So I feel that'll go, because I am going to run through the inside of the car to go out for my taillights and stuff. So it may work out. So I'm basically going to go poke through this. I know the last time I used the Painless, this it's not like the Amazon China wiring harnesses. It actually works. They usually group it in a good, like all together right out of the box. So I find these, I don't have to go filter through it like I do a much cheaper wiring harness, if that makes sense. It's zoned out. There we go. That's the best way to say this. So this is all the taillight section, so I'm not worried about that. I don't know if they bundle the headlights and all that stuff and the engine stuff together. I kind of think they do. So this is the one that's going to go out the car. And these are, and I remember I've gone through this, but it's like, I don't think I have to pluck anything out of it. So this is front tail light, front light. What is this thing here? This will be high beam, alternator. I'm just making sure. I'm actually just reading everything to make sure. This is like oil gauge. This will be main power. This is coil. Okay, that one we're going to take out because that's going to be in the car. That's, I think, is going to run our fuse box. So, all right, so we have to pluck a few things out. Won't be that big of a deal though. Let's see where this all goes. So we'll leave that one in the car. Now I've probably messed up my count. Let me rush through this here again. Actually, there's an AC. This car is never going to get AC. there's no possible room for me to put AC in here. So this will be some random power accessory in my car if I need. So, all right. Once again, let's go through. I'm just going to read them. Like, I'm just reading them, but they're, unless something stands out, I'll mention it to you folks here. This is a wiper. My wiper is going to be in the car. So we're pulling that one out. I guess some cars, the wiper motor's under the hood. Dang it, I gotta start all over again. Got a couple, I am not sure. I guess I could read the manual, but it just doesn't make sense to me that it's out there. I have one, it's, well, this is to the regulator. This is not a problem, that alternator. Although that one's gonna be excited via the computer, so I don't need to worry about that. And then this one here, well, this one goes to the alternators. That one's fine. I'll just leave these out there. But there was another one that, this is oil gauge, coil and choke. We don't need that out there. Stays inside the car. Huh, kind of weird. This one says EFI choke. Interesting. Again, don't need it, so that's staying inside the car. We might snip them out after, but for now, it even nicely says here, it goes painless, engine section. So it's like, I don't know, it's going in the right area, I'll tell you that much. See, this one's wiper motor power, so I don't really know what that other wiper one was. Oh, wiper switch, okay. So this is basically the power one, realistically. Holy, are these all for the wiper? I'm not sure what kind of kit this is. Wiper. Okay, so these are all wiper. I think this is for like a car that's not like mine. It has all the fancy switches to it. Alrighty, here's the stuff I didn't put into the whole works here. So this is all headlights and motor stuff. So that's okay, we'll leave that out there. We'll figure it out later. I'm not too worried right now. I'm not even really sorting a lot of this out right now. But inside here we have like, there's a whole section here that's for wipers. So I'm guessing some of it's like, oh, see, it's got like a low park. The the motor power. We got, oh, a washer pump. I don't have that. And then a high wiper switch. So it's got a, whatever. There's a lot of wiper stuff. Then one of the other ones here, I just had like a power accessory, like for a light switch power. So I don't know why that's going out there, you know. Hindsight, I probably should be reading the manual, honestly. This one, it comes with just a phenomenal manual. I'm pretty bad at not reading this like everybody else, but I think it'll have a schematic here and it'll probably show me what everything is supposed to be going. I'll zippity-doo-dah through this here. All right, so I went through everything. I've kind of rerun stuff. Well, I didn't really rerun much. I just pulled out stuff I felt wasn't necessary or I don't need, because some of the, we'll say muscle cars, things like that, your wiring would go out under the hood for things like the wiper. There's a whole section here just for like the wiper motor and stuff like that. And then like I have the coil and a few other things like that, like AC. I'm not running any of that stuff. And if it's just a fused power, which I don't even know if there's a fuse when it says AC on here or not. Headlight hazard, dome, wiper, accessory. Yeah, AC heat. So they probably share the thing, but I'll bring that inside the car and I can use it just for a different accessory if it comes down to it. So this is what's going to go in the car. This is going to go to like to the tail section of the car. So, you know, all this wiring, this bigger portion will be in the car. I only have this little bit that's actually got to go out to do stuff for the motor and, you know, things for like headlights, signal lights, horn, things like that coming out. We need just this little bit. So while I have that, before I put the grommet in, the hole's quite big now because I took all of this wiring out. So I got a lot of room. I'm just going to run this all out of that same little spot and then we'll kind of zone it right away, but leave myself an option to figure out where I'm going to put all this junk yet. All right. This I feel is going to end up on my kick panel over on my driver's side, or I'm going to make something, or maybe up in the firewall. I don't know. We'll see how this looks here. Yeah. All right. So a lot of wire. All right. So this is all motor, headlight, signal light stuff. I don't even know. We're going to have to zone this stuff better here yet. Actually, I might run that right now. I think they're still tied separately, so they are what they are. Like this is going to be probably all the headlight stuff. So if I see this right, I don't know how I want to run this because I don't want it by anywhere hot. This is motor. If I look at this and I judge it right, everything looks headlight signal lighty stuff. Then we go into this section. The purple is going to go down to the starter, so it'll follow some other wires over there. How long? Which end is which here? Hold that thing. This car is so small, we're definitely going to have some spares here. So we got there, and then that means this is going to be my water temp, which is right here, and then my oil is going to be back there, and then this is power. So these will run out here somehow. We'll figure that out. Along with the LS needs the power off of there. So we'll flank that down. This here somehow needs to flank down, but stay out of the way, and then if heat, everything heat-wise. But that's gonna go to the headlight section. So we will coil this up for right now. We will loop this all out of the way. I'll find a way to wrap this stuff here in a second. But for now, let's just focus on the engine stuff. We'll kind of try to clean this up a little bit, as much as I can. Oish, that's gonna take a bit to make pretty. Well, I may as well try to roughly get everything in every place. I'll probably pull more wiring out the front yet, but I feel if I can run this up, this thing will be out of the way and not too terrible. Just above my throttle pedal, my pedal assembly, if I kind of stick that to the upper world, that won't be too bad. I'll be able to see all the fuses. Therefore, I guess, well, I ran a lot of this, but I guess I can push more of it out and then I'll fix that up after. Because if I do that into this zone, like I'm talking about, I probably can stick a whole lot more of my wiring out of the car here. I'll be just above my gas pedal. So, let's see what I got here. These right now are just extras, so I'm gonna figure this stuff out. Well, they're extras, but they're not, if that makes sense. Let's get rid of our extra things here. All right. I know this is not everybody's cup of tea. This is not an exciting spiel. It is very involved though. All right, what have I got going on here? I have a lot of stuff. There's a lot of this is not going to get used, so it's a very, 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 very basic car. So for now, I'm going to throw this over there. That spaghetti can go over there. That spaghetti can go over there. I believe if I look at this, this is the rear of the car. And we're going to run the wiring through the car. I don't want to run it under it. Headlight switch. I gotta figure out which group here is going to stay in the car. I think this is the one. I don't think this is very long, but I could be wrong. See, this is, my car is really small, so all this stuff is gonna, yeah, this is pretty small. So this is all the stuff that stays with me. This is what's gonna go to the back of the car. I'll probably run it, because we'll probably put a carpet, well, we're gonna put carpet and stuff in here, so I'll be able to run this interior wiring from up here. We're gonna go over the pedal assembly down, and then we'll kind of just run it along this side of the car. That is my thought. I could run it over that way too, but I'm gonna weed through this and just see. I'll save you the grief, because, well, there's really not much grief. But I'm gonna see if there's stuff in here I don't need again. I thought it would be more complete on the other side, but there was quite a bit of stuff I didn't need in there. But I'm not wiring it like a traditional car, so that made the difference. It's not like a modern car where there's a lot of like the wiper motors and a bunch of things are under the hood. All right, so the wiring, like I say, might be a little hard to read, but it's labeled everywhere. It's gonna say what it does and what section of the wiring it is. Like I noticed these, they actually say tail light wiring, and then it'll say what the circuit is. So this one's like painless. This goes to the headlight switch, but it goes to the tail lights, it says on there. And then the next one is the tail section, and then this is dome light power. So I don't know if I fully want that to run to the back. I probably, well, yeah, I'll probably have a dome light, but I'll probably go up the post and I'll maybe have some, maybe just dash lights. I don't know. This is probably solid power for that, so I'm not going to leave that in here. Anyways, like I said, I'm going to keep plugging away here. All right, I just pulled these two out because one was for a third brake light, and I'm not going to run that myself. And then the last one was for like a power accessory, which I believe was just ignition powered, but it's an accessory nonetheless. So my only guess that would be for maybe a cigarette lighter in the back seat or something like that. So I don't have that there, but I'll leave that for now. We'll leave these attached in case I need some extra stuff, but for now I don't foresee myself needing it, so we'll probably be snipping them out. But like I said, that's it. So that just dumbs us down to, we got a fuel pump We have reverse, there's reverse lights are in there. I don't know if I will, but that's something I may add, depending how the visibility is on the car. So you have tail lights, signal lights, fuel gauge, and reverse lights. So that's all we have out of there. So we ended up pulling 4 wires out of the back, two of which were for dome lights. So one's like a power and the other one's like the ground. So one kind of works off the key. So I guess when you would turn your signal, like your on a modern, like a GM car anyways, if you turn your headlight switch, if you turn it all the way one way, it'll cause a ground and then make your dome lights turn on. So we essentially have the bits here that I could just put a switch to turn my dome lights on, or I can do like a door button and that'll ground out like some under dash lights or something of that nature. So we have those. This I won't look at right now, but I will guarantee this is going to go to like key, headlight switch, brake switch, just do those bits of things. So we're not going to touch this. We're not really going to touch any of this, honestly. I'm just going to group this together, kind of loosely sling it where everything's supposed to go, and we'll call it at that for now. Under the hood, I got to do a little bit more tugging and pulling because I push way more wires out now, so we got to shorten all that stuff up. But we are going to mount the fuse box. That is the plan here. I feel if I get this right to the top or just below it, this thing will be out of the way, but I can see all my fuses. And yeah, there's a lot going on, but not to worry, it'll make sense. We are hours later, so here's where we're at. We mostly, more or less, have this thing wired up. So we go in there. There's a lot of things I need to get. I got to get a temperature sensor. We'll have to do our wire here around to the starter because I don't know how I'm doing my battery thing yet, so I got to figure that out. What did I do? A few things that I'm going to have to struggle with here a little bit. Was up on top. I realized I have these heater hoses that go through here, which works fine. I guess that warms the intake air, maybe in cold weather, don't know. But anyways, that comes off of here, which I noticed they were loose. So that means I'm gonna have to probably remove this hat so I can get at the other side, because I can't turn it because of my intake that I just made. So I want to get that tight to make sure it doesn't leak. So I'll figure that out. I haven't done anything down by the starter, and I'm not sure how I'm doing this wiring yet. I'm thinking what I want to do is drill a hole and run like the headlight wiring and stuff. That way I can do it away from the exhaust over up to here. So I have to play with that. This isn't loomed up or done nothing with yet, but that's because we have to get our mass air pressure sensor. I have to get a 2-bar one because we're boosting it, which technically I guess there's like pressure lines down here, like vacuum pressure lines, so I can just rubber hose to that thing. That'll be fine. The only thing that's got me a little bit is like this is for your your mass airflow, which I'm probably not running on here because we got to change the computer to know that it's boosted. Like you basically change the OS. You use HP tuners and then you go from whatever, like this just the way the computer is, to a custom operating system that will know what boost is, if that makes sense. Anyways, I need that, but then the other thing you have to do is you have to know the air temperature coming in. And thinking about it now, I didn't provision anywhere for that. And I mean, I could stick it on there, but that'd be a false reading, because as this thing heats up and spins, it's going to start warming the air up. So usually it's in the turbo world, I'll put it on the charge tube going around, which is the tube that's charged. But as the air gets hotter in there, it'll pull timing just to keep the motor safe. So I might have to think this one all through yet. Like there's a couple provisions on the bottom of the intake, so I don't know if that's good enough if I just patch into there. Usually you just put a rubber bung in there with this thing, and that's usually good enough. But yeah, I have to think this through, and I need to get a sensor. So usually I hit up little Cavaliers or something. They usually have they kind of run in this zone, kind of like the way this motor is going to run. So I'm just going to plug that in. And I'm babbling on and probably bored half of the people here just watching me run electrical, but we got everything sort of loosely run everywhere. So what I have here, I got to still bend and make a tab. This is going to be for the engine, so I still need to do a relay for the fan. So I have to dig around and pull that one out. I think this is the fan one. This is a fan relay 2, and then there should be one for the first one. Oh, that's VSS, so that's my speed. Does that mean this one was? And it's kind of stuck behind there. Is this one my... No, that's like a shift light or something. Skip shift light. Anyway, somewhere here I gotta wire this to a relay, which I'll probably do under the hood. I'm gonna make an L bracket, and then this thing's it's basically gonna sit right there. My computer will be right there. I think I can get it out. If not, I just gotta pull 2 screws and take that whole bracket with it. The wiring's still kind of a mess in here. I always start with good intentions and things. I run it and try to be very prompt with it, but it always ends up like a hot mess. I always struggle with that part. So there's a few bits that are blown out here that don't make sense. This is my spare stuff, like my dome light and a few things like that. This thing is like basically wherever I'm going to put my heater switch, it's going to go, and then this will run my heater. So that's all kind of, my heater's going to be there, so it's kind of all going to be in the same place. But I guess I might have a heater switch, I don't know, somewhere. This is just everything that goes to my dash, which is going to be like my signal lights, water temp gauge, fuel gauge, all that stuff. And then we got 2 others. We got a few zones over on the other side. I always say zones, but it's kind of going to a place. So for example, like my brake switch, that goes to a zone, you know. That's how my brain works. So anyways, I have this is for a dimmer switch, but I don't really know where I'm going to put that, like for a foot stompy thing. So that one's there. This is my brake switch, so I got to get a brake switch. This is my signals and my key. So I don't really know where I'm doing a key or my signals yet. But we do have, from the whole LS stuff, we have like a check engine light, and we got our check computer thing over here. And I pre-ran up this doodad, so this will be my tube for my boost, and this is going to be like my wiper and some spare power. I don't really know what I'm putting up there, so I'm just going to leave a few extra wires up there in case I want to run or do something else down the road. So at least that's all done. But yeah, so heater works. We have to do a little bit of vamping up there so I can get that dash in. The lower screws work, but we have no tabs for the upper 2 screws to work now, so I'll have to figure that part out. And I got to still slice into here so I can do some form of defrost. I want to do that behind the dash as well. That'll be on the later pictures of things, but I probably should pre-think that out right now, and it'll make at least look like clean. The dash will still look Model A-ish, but not like my Model A pickup. It's got like tubes on the outside because, I don't know, I didn't think of that till just now, like when I was working on this car. So anyways, I'm kind of stuck. I got to get a few more parts. I'm going to need to get a ignition switch. I need to get a few things. We're still a ways away from firing it, but at least we're kind of busting through the wiring stuff now. I have to get a battery. I have to make a battery tray. Got to do a few things like that. We did get, like I say, the wiring is run to the back. So this is all taillights and the fuel pump. And the fuel pump being that it's right here, wherever I do with my battery box, I'm just going to snake into there, and that's how I'm going to run for that fuel pump. So that'll be very easy. When I run the wiring up in behind the fuel tank, that's going to eventually go out up to wherever my taillights are going to go. And then we can kind of, one of those is my fuel gauge, so it's just going to come back and bump on top of the tank. That said, I did get my other sender, so I got to figure that all out yet. This is the one that was in the car, and this is just the one. I cut it. My plan is just to weld it on, provided everything sits in the right zone area. I want to know that empty's empty. That's the big thing to me. So I have to figure that out, tack this onto there, and then we got a working fuel gauge that fits a sending unit that'll work with the gauge that I have. All right, that's a lot of talking. I think I have to get a few more parts, so there's not too much I can do right now. I'm kind of burned out, so yeah, the wiring took its toll there. I don't know, it's not that hard to do. It's just when you try to do it nice, it just takes forever. And I mean, I didn't do too bad. We don't have it. It's not by far done, but the motor's pretty much all wired. I just got to do the starter and a few things down there, and then that'll get us power in. And then I pulled a lot of stuff out that I didn't need. And inside of here, I had like the coil wire it powers up the fuse box for the motor side of it. So, and then the power, it's gonna grab battery power, and it'll all be down by the starter. I'm doing a lot of, the wiring goes to the starter, and then I'll just have one main feed wire. I don't know if I'm gonna run it through the car to get to the battery, or I'll do it underneath. We'll see. We'll see how that all works. I don't know that I like it running through the car, but most modern cars nowadays, it actually runs through the car. That's kind of how it goes. So I think it's the Malibus or something. I wish the kid was wrecking some of those, because they got some good ones with a long battery cable that goes from the trunk and it actually runs through the car, and then I think it goes through the floorboard to the starter or something like that. I don't know. I just know it's long enough that if I snip it for most of the things I build, I can use that particular cable, but I'll have to get some of that as well, and a battery. All right. That said, I think that is where we are going to call this one. Wasn't very exciting, but you know, it's what it is. It's probably the most dreaded part that people have, and I don't think it's that bad to do. It could be frustrating, but these kits nowadays are getting better and better, and you could have left all the wires that were in there. I don't know. I think some of it was just because on a car, it goes all the way down to the trunk, so it would have had like a courtesy light in the trunk. Like, you know, you gotta imagine it's like a street rod kind of a wiring kit, whatever this thing. I'm sure it's for, yeah, it says Classic Custom Dash 21 Circuits. This is the one that I use for my car. I think it's more for a muscle car or something, but I mean, it's got, I've said it before, comes with a very, very detailed book on how to do everything in here, depending what motor, everything you got. It's got the bits for it. So yeah. Anyways, like I said, I think that is where we're going to leave it. I would love to say that next round I'm going to fire it up, but I'm not going to make any promises. What I am going to try to do, though, is get my clutch working, get my brakes working. We're going to get the steering in, and then hopefully I've got a few of the electrical bits that I can kind of finish up a few things with the electrical. So, yeah, it kind of is what it is. Anyways, as always, folks, I want to thank you all for watching, and we will catch you on the next one, where, you guessed it, we'll probably be doing more of that.